Hello, my loves. I'm Ellie Frost. Thank you so much for being on this channel where we are talking about the multi-dimensional approach to rapidly and radically healing and transforming during and after narcissistic abuse. And I made this video today about when you feel like you're better off being with the narcissist than alone, right? This is a very valid feeling. It's a feeling that I've had. You might have had the experience of leaving a narcissist and feeling much worse by yourself. You might have, really this is an important part of understanding why we stay, right? Is that sometimes we do truly believe, and we have had the experience of, like, the only options I've got in life seems to be that I either have to be abused or I'm completely on my own, and I actually feel better in the abuse cycle than I do on my own, right? It's a valid experience, it's a real experience, and all I'm going to give you today is some food for thought, some things to think about, right? Because the ultimate truth is not that you either have to be abused or on your own. What we don't know is how to process our emotions and manifest and cultivate what we want in our lives. So this is an issue of emotional intelligence and personal development tools that we haven't been taught, much more than it is a blanket truth that you either have to put up with this or you're completely alone in life. Yeah? So what I want you to think about is, if you cultivate if you cultivate tools, if you understand how you can create a better life for yourself, then you'd never have this thought in the first place. But for most of us, we haven't been taught this. So it does seem like we either have to be completely isolated, which a lot of us have done, or in these types of relationships, because we haven't healed the trauma, so we keep attracting narcissists. We aren't yet equipped to know how to be independent, right, and sovereign. So again, if you come into the sovereign program, many people come into that program while they're still with a narcissist. Many people, there are all different stages. Some people come in when they're still in the cycle. Some people come in after they've left, all sorts of things. But what I teach isn't just the healing, which is extremely important. How do you process trauma and heal your emotions, right? But I also teach transformation and personal development, which is giving you skills for life, right? I do have another channel called @Manifest with Ellie Frost, where I'm teaching you manifestation, because if you knew for sure that you could create a better life for yourself with healthy relationships, and it wasn't a question of I either have to be abused or alone, then you wouldn't stay. But when you don't know how to do that, then it's totally valid that you feel like I can't do any better than this, because you don't know how to yet. But please understand that you just don't know how to yet. And that, there's no shame in this, right? But abuse doesn't have to be your standard of life. There are tools you can learn. There are ways we can develop ourselves, right? Because again, once we actually start learning what we need in order to transform ourselves to be a better match for better relationships, know how to handle them, know how to create them, and get confident in that, then of course it's like we wouldn't attach to the narcissist in the same way. But when we've decided and we've had the experience of I'm either completely lonely or I'm abused, right, then of course I understand why we pick abuse, right? I've been there. So this is much more about I need to develop the skills, right, so that I can create a better life for myself. That's what this is about. It's not that there's an ultimate truth that you either get to be abused or completely alone. And I know what it feels like to be there. I was completely cut off by my entire family of origin and brutally discarded several times by romantic partners and in business relationships. It was absolutely awful. I had the absolute reality of I'm either completely isolated, completely alone, or I have to be in very, very brutally toxic relationships, right, to survive. So please know that this is a very, very difficult journey, and that this is a very valid feeling. But what I did during that time, what I worked on, was the skills I didn't have. And that's what I teach people. So again, if you come into sovereign, it's not just healing, although that's a big part of it. There's tools for healing trauma, but there's also tools for manifestation. How do you emotional intelligence? How do you communicate? How do you actually create what you want in your life? And as I say, go to the other channel I've got, which I'm just starting, which will start giving you tools for life. What you need to do is educate yourself here, right? The current reality, it seems true. Either I'm abused or I'm completely lonely. But if you want more than that, right, then it's just something that you have to learn in yourself, right? It's that you can go beyond that, right? It's not just a question of if I don't stay with an abuser, I have to be completely alone in life, right? That is just not true. that's a decision we've made because it's been our experience so far, and we haven't had the skills, right? And probably the confidence and self-belief and self-worth to believe that we can do any better than this. That's where it's coming from, right? But of course, the narcissist also makes you believe that. They make you believe constantly that they're the best you can get, that you don't deserve any better. They undermine you and put you down non-stop. So of course your confidence is on the floor. Of course you don't believe you can do better. Of course the breadcrumbs and tiny like scraps they give you seems like the best you can get. But I'm still telling you that, like, if you're here, I know that your soul is screaming for something else. There's a higher truth that you can acclimatize to. And this is just a question of learning. This is just a question of knowing what you don't know yet. Yeah, because when you do, you won't even consider being with a narcissist, and you won't believe that your only option in life is being with abuse or complete loneliness. And you'll also know how to process loneliness, how to accept loneliness, and not be so afraid of it that it's stopping you from taking moves into a more independent, and sovereign life. Because, like, I mean, I would say, like, being in a narcissistically abusive relationship is one of the most loneliest places you can be, because they're constantly treating you like you don't exist and you don't matter. Not at a core level. You have to become everything they need you to be and completely abandon yourself. So you're already lonely. You're already lonely. You're not connected there anyway. It's an illusion and it's an enmeshment, right? But our focus isn't just like, I leave the narcissist and then expect our whole life to be rainbows and unicorns, right? Our focus is on our own growth. That's why I'm so keen. I integrate personal development and healing, because this is the thing. You just don't have the skill set yet. You just don't have the experience yet, right? But you can get it. Yeah, you can get it. Keep listening to this channel. Keep listening to my other channel. You will learn ways in which, like, you can empower yourself, and you know, that's your focus. I talk about time, energy, attention, money. That's our team in this universe of resources. Our time, energy, attention, money, and where we put those things, right? And we need to start self-focusing, self-partnering, self-sourcing into our own growth. Growth is required, right, to make something like leaving a narcissist sustainable. Healing means I'm not in pain anymore, right? And we can definitely attract better things when we're healed. We definitely do, because trauma is in the way of a lot of our manifestations a lot of the time, right? Unhealed trauma, because we're still dominantly vibrating at what's unprocessed and unhealed. But at the same time, we want to focus on our own personal development. Yeah, the communication skills, the life skills that we haven't necessarily got so far, right? I talk a lot on this channel about, you know, breaking code, but I haven't actually called a video breaking codependency, but many of the topics I go into are about stop people pleasing, what it means to be self-focused and self-partnered, how we parent ourselves, how we can communicate. There's communication tools. Maybe I should do more of that. Do let me know what you want more of, and I'm really happy to talk a lot more about how we can, you know, cultivate, right, not just a better relationship with ourselves, but a better relationship with the universe and other people, so that we're confident that we can create a better life. Because if you don't believe you can create a better life, of course you think, well, if this is the best I can get, I don't want it to get any worse. It's a natural feeling. All the same, it's not the ultimate truth, I promise you. So you're in the right place. Keep watching the videos, keep commenting. I'll keep thinking about the best content I can give you. And if you can join Sovereign, do. Right? I go in there and do live coaching every 2 weeks on your topics, on your questions. Like, so much comes up in that. It's so rich in terms of the experience, because I mean, those coaching calls alone are like at least a couple of hours that you get to re-listen to. You do not need to be there live, but we're talking about personal development. We're talking about personal growth. We're talking about building a life that we actually love, we get to be fully expressed in, and gets to be fulfilled in, right? And this is a journey. Yeah, it's not like I leave a narcissist and everything's gonna go right. No, because you haven't got the skills yet probably to create what you want in your life, which is why I'm so focused, like I say, on the manifestation stuff, on the personal development stuff. So this is very natural. You're not wrong in feeling it. There's no shame in feeling it. This is why the solution isn't always just leave the narcissist, because without being equipped with the tools for life, you know, it's a natural feeling that I was better. Well, you're not better off with a narcissist because you're being eroded more. It's going to get worse, right? It's not going to get better there. And when I say sometimes it gets worse before it gets better when you leave, temporarily, you know, the situation might not change overnight, and you might have more things temporarily to deal with, but ultimately it will get much, much, much better the more you claim yourself, you claim your life, you claim your sovereignty, and start creating what you want in your life, right? Rather than clinging on to something that's very unhealthy for you because you think it's the best you can get. It's like if I said, like, I take, you know, I'm over drinking or taking drugs, right? Because it makes me feel good, because I don't know how to feel good outside of it, and I don't know how to process the trauma. But when I do know that, I don't need the alcohol and I don't need the addiction anymore, right? I get to actually find what feels good to me in healthy ways. So all I know right now when I'm saying this kind of stuff, I'd rather be abused than alone, is I think leaving a narcissist means loneliness, right? Which, one, I don't know how to process, when you can actually be okay with loneliness and know that you can create more than that, better than that. And two, that I can create things that feel good for me outside of this situation. You actually start naturally releasing what not serving you. You start naturally, like, just building a much better life for yourself, right? Which is ultimately what we want, because being in narcissistically abusive relationships is dangerous, you know, on one, and depending on, you know, your situation on one level, and two, is always going to come at such a high cost to yourself, right? You're not going to feel any better about yourself until you focus on yourself, not the narcissist, and your own healing, and not just healing, but personal development and growth, so you can build a sustainable life that you love. Lots of love, guys. I'll speak to you soon.